Hey guys, this is Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate concierge. I run a company for 3 years now to relocate foreign people to Belarus, mostly Western people, EU, US, Canada, Australia. And today's issue is one of the updates that some of you like very much, the regular stuff about the local headlines, world processes, my thoughts, rather innocent thoughts about these things. I'm not an analyst, this is not a media release of any kind, just running through the local news and sharing my opinion of a local with you guys, and your feedback on the subject is also always appreciated. As always, I would like to thank all those who support the channel. It's very easy to do that. If you're in a Western country, just press the thanks button. It's tax-free on my side, by the way, so I thank you very much for $5, $10, whatever is convenient. And we are upgrading metal pretty much. We'll have some new sound very soon. Somebody was criticizing the sound lately. So I appreciate any likes and dislikes, any comments under the video, any questions on the subject. Unrelated questions under the video are not very, to the point. So some of them may be deleted, some of them may actually play and get us a new video topic to cover. So if you have any topics you would like to cover, something not super complicated, please comment under this video. We'll see if that is manageable within a free of charge release like that, or it would require some donations or something like this. Today's headlines are going to be more on the humorous side, although some of them are not really that funny, but they will get you through the local happenings, and we will revise all the things, the necessary points to keep in mind before preparing your trip to Belarus. Most of you will be watching this channel because you are preparing a trip to Belarus, so let's get started. Just yesterday, around midnight, some friends of friends from the police station rang up. The migration office wanted a translator because they caught some African guys. And basically out of two, one was actually legit, had a work permit and temporary residency, TRP, in his passport, everything matched. But he was sticking around the flat with 2 rooms, and there were 2 more guys who actually had some issues. The funny thing is, which is not funny at all at some point, is that one of them decided to walk out of the window as the cop progressed into the room to check his papers. So the ambulance collected what was left. He didn't die, but he was very close. And we ended up doing some paperwork around midnight at the police station, just trying to explain on the paper that the guy decided to take a leap himself. He wasn't pushed or anything like this. So guys, if you have your registration outstayed, your visa outstayed, it's not the end of the world. At some point, you should really flag yourself, identify yourself to the authorities, to the migration office, and start working on a solution before it's too late and it's like a deportation case. May I remind you that from your arrival, you can change as many addresses as you wish within the first 10 days on day 10. And they really count as they are in the calendar without any game with the check-in hour, check-out hour, take-off, landing, and all this kind of stuff. On day 10, you either register yourself online or offline, or leave the country without registration. It's gonna be okay. More about registration can be found in a respective video. I'll leave a link in the video description to the video with major travel tips to Belarus in 2024. We're not going to be the world famous destination, I guess, but some people are already packing up to do their relocation or travel, and that would be very handy to know some things before you're confronted with them on the ground. Travel remains the same, somewhat limited, and at the same point unhampered by the global happenings. Well, give or take. There's still visa-free mode for those flying in and out of the country via Minsk National Airport, except for Russia. Arrivals from Russia, departures to Russia are exempt from the visa-free rule. There is another video on that. You might find the link in the description. The customs control, the border control may be a bit of a challenge, depending on who you are. My clients who are relocating or traveling know what to say. Basically, we always tell the truth, because my airport friends at the luggage department say they're pretty serious, so there are no jokes out there. And if you're crossing by land, getting a visa in Vilnius or in your home country, and you can do either way, and taking a bus from Vilnius seems the easiest way to get here, time-wise. Otherwise, some people also like Warsaw departures, and in our group, for the foreigners here, for the expats, we always have a bit of an argument which bus is faster, which company is crossing faster, and which city is better, Warsaw or Vilnius, to take a bus from down here. If you have some experience, you might share that in the video for the people who are planning the trip. If you carry cash, don't forget to declare if you have the total or exceeding $10,000. There is a misconception, as it happens, pretty popular, about $10,000 being the legal limit to be brought to Belarus without taxation. There are no taxes for the inbound money. There is just an obligation to declare that you're bringing this much in cash, and you only have to prove the source of income. And I can explain on a consultancy how this may be done if you have more than $100,000, and that's per person. So if you have 2 kids, you can easily bring 30,000 bucks in your pockets and buy a nice flat, not so nice flat, or a village property for the countryside stays. It's hard to tell if the new Boeings are better and more reliable than the old Boeings, but let's leave it to the Western capitalist world to judge about this. Belarus is still operating some Boeings and Embraers, and they have just opened up a new direction from Brest to Moscow. This thing runs in parallel to the Visa-Free Act, or the Mutual Acceptance Visa Act between Russia and Belarus, which is not working. If you have a visa to Belarus, you only have a visa to Belarus, and this is as far as you go. So right now I'm trying to launch a new, new line of business, Russian visa support, assisting with that process, because in Minsk there's a pretty bad backlog for applicants, so we may have to go to Brest. And any resident holder is free to contact me, and we can look into this matter at a minimal cost from my side and see how this works and how one can open up Russia for the Asian-bound logistics or for the investments or something like this. We happen to have 2 major, we can call them gender holidays oncoming. I'm always lost about this new Western vocabulary that is more correct than the previous one that I had in the goddamn school books. In fact, my school books are ancient by now, so the guys who are coming over tell me, oh no, we don't use this word anymore. And it seems like the Western linguists are bound to screw each other and themselves to the point of a prison or something like this. Inventing new terms and notions instead of the old ones that basically signify what they were designed for. But let's leave the linguistic matters on the side. We have 23rd of February, which is the ex-Red Army Day. It's now celebrated as Defenders Day or Men's Day, generalizing this capacity, this role onto most of the men. And the Women's Day on the 8th of March. It dates back to the old communist times. Actually, we didn't invent it. It seems to be coming from Europe. And on these days, conveniently 2 weeks apart, the boys start first. There are different presents to one another, depending if it's a working team or some kind of a relationship. And women and men shower each other with presents of all sorts of meanings, let's say, and this is something to keep in mind if you have a partner in Belarus that you may want to congratulate on the occasion. The tulips will be sold at every step very soon in Minsk, so you shouldn't be surprised if you happen to be walking down the streets and there are people with boxes and minivans and so on and so forth selling tulips. They're normally getting cheaper in the evening of the 8th of March because only losers buy them in the evening on the 8th of March. Later in spring, we have some major holidays coming in a pretty pleasant succession, just a time to plant potatoes. 1st of May, the Labor Day, is a fairly rudimentary holiday when there's a bunch of old folks, let's call them this way, with a few carnations they bring to the steps of Lenin. A day off, National Red Letter Day. So then there's 9th of May, a pretty grand, one of the biggest holidays perhaps after the New Year, celebrated by the whole country. Without parade it seems, but with some festivities, concerts and stuff. And normally between the 1st and 9th of May there'll be Russian holidays, Russians will be in town, and apartments as always will be overpriced. And the 14th of May is the day of commemoration of the ancestors, of the dead. These holidays will also be rounded up with the weekends next to which they are. So you should be planning your moves carefully, because on these specific dates, not the days next to them, the shops will be closed and institutions will not be working. You have to conclude your bureaucracy before that thing starts. Belarus seems to be seeking to cut bureaucracy further. As a tactical bureaucrat, I kind of should be happy. They are extending the validity of the driving license from 10 years to 20 years, which is kind of sweet. And there's another misconception with the foreign expats living here. If they have temporary residency permit, they don't have to pass an exam. They can cheerfully use their own license under certain circumstances, of course. The previous bureaucracy cut was about the gun certificates, medical clearance to have a gun. In 2021, when I applied for the first one, it was just 1 year long. So next year I had to extend it, but it already was for 5 years. So now I have coverage until 2026 or something like this. And both me and the gun cop are happy because the paperwork is straight and nice. One of our most solid developers, A100, the folks who are cooking up the overpriced depot in the city center near Victory Square, are building a new building, 8th-floor block, no single room, no one-room flats in their district, Novaya Borovaya, where I just settled my good client, an Austrian guy. And he's quite happy with what's going on out there, mostly. The building has been sold out. They have 2.8 meter ceilings designed. They have flats ranging between 44 to 145 square meters or something like this, $1,500 per meter. They sold it in a couple of hours. There's a new school building coming up, and there's a kindergarten nearby. And as per their overall concept, the cute, very nicely trimmed and attended to courtyards designed for human beings, actually. You may see a little clip about this neighborhood. I'll leave a link down below. They are going to be for the locals only. They can't be some stray folks coming over to toss the ball in the courtyard or something like this. They'll be like off limits, which is kind of cool for the residents. Prior Bank, the partner of Raiffeisen Bank in Austria, is looking to get a new owner, is set to be sold to some UAE investor of some kind. Let's see if that's gonna change the things to the better, because right now it was the only, it seems, loophole to get euro transfer from Europe. The only thing to foreigners was it cost 20,000 rubles on a separate unusable deposit account to start an account, and 300 euro fee to do that, and that was not the most practical requirement, so I guess that put off a lot of clients from the bank. One can only wonder why they would filter people like this, but even an existing client, another good American who has a US dollar account, who actually was confronted with this request, and this is kind of silly and a little bit discriminative for him to be trying and doing that to get his euro into the country. Because dollar account is not very useful because he can't get any dollars. And lately, with another client, we were looking to buy a nice flat in the central part of Minsk, and we were confronted with the trouble of finding a bank whose transit bank would actually list the banks they cooperate with in Europe in terms of sending money to Belarus. So it's not just the local bank that you have to hook up with and kickstart an account. You have to match your existing account in Europe with the list of banks that the correspondent bank, for God's sake, is working with. So crypto is becoming a more and more popular solution to this problem. A somewhat fun fact: in January 2024, average Belarusian spent 21.6 rubles a day for shopping, which is a couple of rubles more than the year before. And generally we spent a little bit, like 10% more than the year before for shopping, and a bit 6% more for eating out. It's a Russian thing, but still we're getting closer and closer together. Some guy decided to sue his ex-girlfriend to get the iPhone 12 Pro something and a few other presents back from her, like to refund all the tricks, and he went through several levels of courts, and the final ruling was like, no, the ex-girlfriend can keep all the stuff, and she doesn't have to refund the favors that didn't pay off, sort of. So it's an interesting reminder about the society we're living in and the attempted change of the roles of the genders. It's, of course, less conservative than 30 years back, but it's more classical than in the West today, and men in the West who come over here, and it's rarely women, by the way, they still have to like re-educate themselves and maybe read some books from 30 years back and see how things work. All you have to do, in my subjective opinion, is to go out, to communicate, to meet people, and to exhibit your personality the best way it is. I would recommend against going with some dick coaches online and taking some kind of classes, tricks and stuff to get more results, whichever way they see these results. It's a bit of a BS. So it's just all about personality and talking and communicating. I have a video about dating and some like tips about this from this point. You can see the link in the description, and you can share your feedback down below. Last but not least, a quick news piece about money. Some guy was repaid a debt in the south. He was like in his 50s. He went to the bank. One of the bills was identified as a fake. It was dollars. We like dollars here. And this is about the cash. The cash here rocks. Although Western cards, including American cards, often work here at the ATMs and the payment points of sales, the card readers at the businesses, except for a few government institutions that have sanctioned banks running these terminals. You may want to have some good supply of cash if you've come here to buy property, for instance, and if you are planning to set up for a long term. The major recommendations will be voiced in the dedicated money guide video. There is an older version on the channel now, but I'll be producing a new one in light of my recent experience with a good American guy who just came over with a stack of cash from an American bank, but the local banks were so remarkably picky that they really discarded like 1/3 of his cash. So I'll try to accent the issues that you may confront if you bring cash here, and what kind of things you have to be aware of before packing for the trip and coming here with the cash. And it was fun how he came through that customs point in Istanbul, but you saw that in the previous video. Generally, that's it for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your channel support. I'll remind that the thanks button can be used for helping the channel. Also 2 links down below, whichever one works for you. You can also subscribe to the channel membership. There's a $2 a month, there's $10 a month plan, just for your involvement in what I'm doing. And if you have any relocation questions, tourism questions, I would rather keep them off the public board down below, except if it's some kind of a clarification. If it's more like a consultancy you're looking for, please contact me directly, and that might save you some money in future. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in Minsk someday. Cheers.